Hey everybody, it's Jynnette The Oracle. Hello. Your girl is going through it right now. I apologize for coming on so late, later than I was intending to, and also later than I've done in the past. I've literally been sitting here for about an hour at this point, trying to focus in on this energy that I want to tap into for these messages. And there's so much energy. So I've gotten to a place now where it's a little bit more focused, just ever so slightly, but there is still a lot. So I'm just going to recap and slowly walk myself through the process. And then hopefully I'll be able to um, get and deliver specific things that I want to touch on, and also, whatever spirit would want to have come through for today. But this may also just be this may end up being just a really short video because um, the energy is so big and it's so intense, and I'm frustrated. So, I don't know if you can feel my energy, but I'm just like. I'm gonna sip my tea. I'm already halfway, more than halfway through my matcha latte. Anyway, welcome to folks who are joining live. Thank you for being here. Feel free to comment and let me know where you're joining from, what you might be sipping on, how you're feeling. Let me actually go through some quick announcements, actually. Once I'm done with this, I'm actually going to update my session schedule for next week. So just give me a couple hours, and then if you want to book a session with me, you can do so. As I've mentioned before, my schedule does change every week, so you always want to check once a week over the weekends. Usually Sundays is by that time I'll have the full schedule locked in. By Sunday evening, you can check and see availability and schedule a session as you prefer. So that will be going up soon. If you would like to, the link to book sessions is in the description below. And then if you haven't yet, you can check out the 2026 Spiritual New Year Channeling event that happened on Autumn Equinox. That does provide guidance and ancestor messages for these next 12 months. So from Autumn Equinox to Autumn Equinox. It is very important to be focused on that, use that as a guiding spiritual kind of pillar to help you navigate the year ahead. Okay, so as I mentioned, I believe last Oracle Talks, my intention for today, I was trying to last time to get into some ancestor messages. It didn't happen. I ran out of time. I need to move on. So I definitely was wanting to and intending to get to ancestor messages today. So that is the focus, hence the title of this particular video. With that being said, I know based off of conversations that I've had with folks that the ancestor realm in general, the astral realm in general, has been very active, and there's been a call, a pull, a push, whatever, to refresh ancestral altars or be more open in communication with their ancestors, or maybe they're being more forward, they're top of mind, etc. But it's very front and center. Now, that in and of itself is not necessarily unusual for this time of year for us here in the Northern Hemisphere, like specifically this autumn time. It is a time of a quote unquote thinning of the veil, or really an ease that we have in being able to perceive and connect with our ancestors, with the astral realm. So that's access is already kind of naturally provided for all. But there's an extra level of engagement and energy and activation that is definitely here. For most folks that they're noticing and are not quite sure why. They're not quite sure why they're being asked to engage with the ancestors, with their altars, etc. Compared to before. So just for you to know, because I don't believe I mentioned this in the past Oracle Talks, but with the Lightworker Incubator alumni group, so folks who've gone through the Lightworker Incubator and who are called to serve in the spirit in higher dimensional ways to support humanity, the nature kingdoms, etc. One of the things that has come up recently for us, at least for the amount of the short time of spiritual service work that we're doing, is specifically to support the elevation of the ancestors by neutralizing and removing the dark magic, oppressive magic hindrances to the natural course of action for them as they continue on their path on the incarnational cycle. So basically, those things, those spirits, those spells, that magic, whatever that essentially prevents them to be able to continue to move on, to continue to heal, to continue to elevate, etc. So we've been working on that specifically. So I already knew for myself that, like, the ancestors and the ancestral realm was going to be front and center, and it has been, but not in a individualized local space, but truly like a global kind of thing, kind of vibe. So that's essentially the backdrop. So for myself, I've definitely wanted to just kind of get a sense of where things are. This work and this endeavor, we as light workers, anyone who has already gotten this assignment, whether you're part of the alumni group or not, of supporting the ancestors and their elevation, we all engage with that work in our own unique ways. But the timing specifically for this work has been for the Libra lunar cycle. Okay, so that happened with the Libra new moon, which was earlier this week. And we'll go through this entire cycle until we get to the new moon in Scorpio. I don't know what the next kind of quote unquote assignment is going to be, directive is going to be at that point. But the specific addressing of these issues as it relates to ancestor healing and elevation is for this Libra lunar cycle. So I was wanting to kind of like check in with things. And so I noticed from like last night and all through today, my energy just been very like all over the place. And I realized like, oh, that's me picking up on a lot of specific types of processing that's happening, as well as major energetic dispensations that are coming through as well. So it's this kind of like disruptive fire transformation energy, as well as like intense catalyzation, energetic expansion flow, like at the same time. So yeah, it's been very difficult preparing for this particular message or this time for Oracle Talks to be able to focus on like, okay, well, what will we really be able to talk about and speak about? What do we want to focus on? Like, we're going to get messages from the ancestors? Or are we going to give messages to the ancestors? Is this a status report? Like, it's kind of all of that. And it's just been, it's all the things. So I have some cards out because I need to get a little bit more focus. And the energy is tuned to the sun to help me with that. Because that's home base in a lot of ways for me. So let me go through some of the cards to relay some of those initial messages that I was getting from looking and sitting with them and trying to discern like where we're really going to go with today's Oracle Talks. And then after that, we'll see what else is there. Okay. All right. So the 17 card Pure Intentions is showing up in the position for this initial interpretation of that which is arising. And so this is very much giving me that energy of the higher realms, the masters, the teachers, the guides, the wise ones, the higher dimensional beneficial forces that are working in hand to affect change here on the planet. Okay, many hands at work to affect change globally. So that's what is there. Now, most of these hands are here in the light, so to speak, a life affirming. There is a hand here that is in the dark. That would be for me the representation of the oppressive kind of energy. But yeah, lots of work, lots of energy affecting and impacting the planet. Now, as I look a little bit more about this also can talk about, because there's a mix of energy. So there's like the obvious malevolent, but then there's this kind of like nebulous, it seems positive on the outside, but actually it's negative in intentions or in tactics. And then there's like definitely beneficial energy. This kind of nebulous energy is what is surrounded by these elements representative of magic here. So chalices, tomes, etc. So all of that is happening simultaneously. Or just that all of the hands involved in what's going on with the astral realm and impacting the astral realm is what's there. And by consequence, the ancestors, as well as us, because we have astral bodies as well. So to address that and deal with that is this teacher card. This specifically is, while this can obviously represent like working with someone who is wiser than you, has more power and authority than you, etc., who can teach you. On a personal, if this was a personal thing, this would be for me talking about going up the path, up the mountain. So essentially going on the journey of being in deeper communion with your true soul nature, with soul consciousness, rather than human self, human identity, senses, the binaries of divine feminine and divine masculine, and all that kind of stuff, and letting that drop away, letting that go away in order to dissolve fully into that state, right? At an ancestral level, this would be, again, the elevation of consciousness, elevation of the soul, to those higher states, to those more communal states with all that is. So the point of the work is to, again, assure that that can happen. The door for this was opened here in the past with the Yes card, 66. For this elevation, this is beautiful energy. This is very much giving me transformative healing waters, restorative waters. And then we have the card number 58, ending. Lower realms, meaning the physical, or lower astral realms, right? The ancestral group or ancestral souls, upper dimension, heavenly souls, higher consciousness. Also in the cards that I pulled, There is significant dual energy that shows up of rising from lower to higher, and then the higher descending as well. So I have card number 106, bringing closer. So you can see here there's a rose coming down and there's a rose going up, each in their own heart. And you see literally mixing of the green and the pink, which are the green being the energy just below the heart, the pink being the energy just above the heart, or that magenta color just above the heart. Then there's also this card number 42 with friendship. And this has, if you can see here, these two figures, one that with the arms up, focus upward, another that is a descending energy. And this infrastructure here in the spirit, allowing for the joining of these two. So this could be like literal communication. It could be representative of the incarnational cycle. So spirit joining with a soul before incarnation. And then there's another card, card number 14, harmony. Also dual energy here with the glyph. These two sections being joined here, again with this beautiful blue color. The healing card has shown up as well, card number 60. So healing is occurring for the ancestral realm. And we see here specifically the ancestors having going through these ups and downs are now going and elevating beyond the previous ups to truly new levels of consciousness towards our sun. And you see, again, more of this dual nature here. Dual nature here in the card. We have card number 12 here, offering. The other thing that was coming up as I was looking at these cards, and another reason why the energy feels just so big and it's hard to kind of like tap into specifically, is the mutability, so to speak, of time. And by mutability, I mean that the idea of just a past, present, future linear view or operation of time is not and has never been the whole story. That all those possibilities of what we call past, present, and future do exist in the now moment. That what we were is what we are, is what we will be. But yeah, the dissolving of those constructs as our minds have organized them also seem to be dissolving, which is why there seems to be such a flow between the upper and the lower. This friendship card here as well too is Okay. That just happened. For those who are here live, can you comment and let me know if you can see and hear me? Okay, thank you. My computer totally just like, it literally just restarted. I've never had that happen before. That's insane. And this is a brand new laptop. So if there's any indication of like how intense this energy is that I'm feeling, like that was a perfect that was a perfect example of that. So yeah, thanks for the folks who are joining back in. I am back. The computer is back now. Yeah, that was weird. I wonder if something's actually up with my charger or something. Like I'll have to figure that out. But that was really, really weird. I didn't even realize how it had gone off. So for those who are here live, because I don't actually know where it stopped. So can you just briefly let me know like what I was just about to talk about, or what I had just finished talking about? Because I don't know where, I don't know where that actually like cut off at. I don't know how long I was talking without y'all being here. What's the last thing you remember me speaking on? That's actually kind of insane too, because I was saying it earlier that like, this might only be like 15, 20 minutes, and it was like that. And then the computer got off. All right, so the friendship card. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So, my goodness. The time jump. The other thing that was coming up with this card was about our DNA connection to our ancestors. So how I'm sure most of you, because most people who are part of the soul family are Black Americans. So we know about epigenetics in particular, and how the memory, both positive, neutral, and negative, or all positive, neutral, and negative, from those that we have come from, very much impact our minds, emotions, bodies in the here and now. So that also was coming through, and for me could be another reason why I'm experiencing physically so much of the ancestral elevation and support, as well as the descension of high spiritual energy. So yeah, all those things are coming up for these ancestor messages. So let me do a quick check-in with folks while I kind of like recalibrate myself, because that the computer stopping like that it kind of took me out. Have you all been experiencing this connection or increased connection with the ancestors? Have they been relaying information to you? Let me know. One more thing I will mention while you all are typing that is, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, the beginning of this month, that Oracle Talks Seraphim Council in particular, October 4th specifically, I remember, was when I had received the prophecy about a mass exodus of Black Americans out of the country, if and or when certain conditions are met here in this country, that there will be a collective like ancestral directive to leave, and there would be significant numbers. And when I say significant, I mean millions of people who would be leaving over a 3-year period. So that is there as well too. With that prophecy, because I don't normally, like, rarely ever get things like that coming through. I did not get a timing with it because it wasn't a timing thing. It wasn't like, oh, this will definitely happen. It was more of a, if there's another kind of collective situation that we all experience in the spirits and in the days and the weeks following the most recent presidential election results, then that will come through. So it wasn't necessarily tied to like, oh, there's going to be some very specific like violent thing that's going to happen, like or whatever. It was just like, if there is something similar to the energetic impact like that was for us, then we'll be getting that directive, and those who receive that directive from their ancestors will be leaving, and it will be significant numbers in the millions over a 3-year period who'll be leaving. And I wasn't getting that they'll be going to a specific place. It wasn't necessarily back to the continent. Of course, like, folks will go there. It seemed more like a general global dispersion to wherever the ancestors have kind of established relationships, provided resources, inroads for safe settlement. Driving a wood type more. Oh, no worries. No worries. Yeah, so that had come through. And that was, again, right at the beginning of the month, specifically October 4th, because I remember it. It was so specific and it was so kind of jarring. But it was also like, yeah, I can see it. Alrighty. Like, I'm actually like concerned to like keep going because I'm like, I don't want the computer to shut down again. But we'll keep going. Let me see what else I want to get into or try to get into with this. Also, if folks have questions about what's been coming up with the ancestors, you can put that in the comments too, and I can dive into that here. I just removed that energy because, yep, all the things are showing up. That's another reason why I know, like, there's stuff going on. Is like, I'll get that kind of energy popping up if you've been seeing the comments. Any questions from other folks who are here? In general, the ancestors are fine if you are concerned about their well-being. And that's the point of this work of, again, for those light workers who got called to do that work, and just the higher realms that are doing this work of dismantling and removing the darker energy that has been preventing their elevation and liberation. They're fine. folks still have to do their healing, right? But it's like, you know, they're fine. Welcome to new folks who are coming in. Please let me know where you're joining from, what you might be sipping on. I just finished my matcha latte. Like I said, I was sitting here for an hour before I could even like jump on just to try to calm this energy down a bit. So I got through most of my tea. All right, nothing else? No other questions coming up? I think that may be it for me with these cards then. I think I got the gist of it. The energy is intense though. This is popping out in the Strength card. It is intense. But again, unless you were given the assignment to kind of do the work of dismantling, you don't need to be in a fight. Just hold space for the ancestors. And again, they probably already have been communicating what they want you to do to support them. So yes, if they've been asking you to have fresh flowers on your altar, please do so. Hello from Florida, drinking sparkling water. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right. I will I'll leave that alone. So yeah, I guess it seems like that assurance is what was needed, that they're okay, for those who are concerned. So we do have time. I mean, I've only been on here for 30 minutes minus the computer shutting down. So what other topics would y'all like to get into? I'll open this up for a bit. What other topics would you like to get into? It could be personal or broad. And if nothing's on people's hearts and minds, we can bounce. I don't need to hold the channel open later if it's not needed. What would you like to get into? Welcome to new folks who are coming in. Feel free to comment below where you're joining from in the world and what you might be sipping on. We're at that point in the process where I'm opening it up to any topic that you would like to receive guidance on. It can also be personal as well, and it can be broad. So make a comment below, let me know. Personally, just stepped into fostering and would love some guidance in the challenges of our connection. Okay. Is this a one child or multiple? Okay, one child. Okay, so ND 6403. I know who you are, but I'm not going to say your name because you haven't provided that here. So out of consent, I won't say anything. But in general, your energy is more closed off or not conducive to supporting this relationship in a way that would be ideal for you in your mind. A lot of that, though, is because of this Ten of Swords energy. There's actually not much of a capacity to do so. Physical energy. Because their energy showing up as Six of Wands, like there's a lot of energy that this person has physically, and you actually can't match that in and of yourself. So there's a bit of a stalemate here with the King of Pentacles. That's natural, of course. Kids are going to have more energy, but since it's a 10 for you, like it's especially so, it's exacerbated for you. In terms of communication and mind space with the Four of Swords, you definitely try to be more equanimous, I guess is the word. But also your energy is very set in its ways. And the Two of Cups is for their energy. They need authenticity and emotions and power, creativity, wisdom in navigating the immensity that they are within. They're big emotions. I mean, the age, yes, the big emotions, but also a lot of power. And you definitely have more emotional maturity, which again would make sense with the Three of Pentacles here. But I see the clash with the King of Wands. This double king energy here between the two of you is like, again, it's too, I actually won't even say powerhouses because the powerhouse energy is really from them. They're more like fire powerhouse or fire water powerhouse, and you're more of the mountain earth powerhouse. I'll put it that way, actually. So there's a clash because there's a lack of understanding on their part. There's at least willingness on your part, but I see in a lot of ways a lack of sustainable capacity to show up for them in the way that, again, you might want to or might be best for the relationship. You guys see, you don't see eye to eye. I know this is the star card. It's a card of like healing and restoration, all that, but that's not what I'm getting here. It's like two separate mindsets. The communication is not there. So this is something, the Eight of Pentacles here at the bottom, like it will necessarily require a lot of work for the time that they're there. Like I don't, there's no, there's no easy energy here. I don't see resolution energy here, especially with the double king. Physically, you can provide what she needs with the King of Pentacles. So that at least will create a, so in that regard, meaning like, you know, financial stability. There's a roof over her head, a financial home environment or stable home environment, consistent food to eat, no threats to physical safety, like that is being handled, right? Anything beyond that, I'm not seeing. The connection part, whether it's communication is not, again, it's not on the same page. There's a desire for like emotional connection, wanting to do all that on their part, but there's very much a mismatch because your energy tends to be more kind of rules based or formula based in comparison to their energy. Not necessarily that you don't have fun or that, you know, you're not creative and things like that, but like the difference between the two of you. Now, while it's not, you know, fun, so to speak, I don't see like, I don't see blowout. Although y'all definitely could have arguments with that communication card showing up there. What I can say is probably the easiest place of a meeting ground for you two is the establishment of what mutual respect is, defining that collaboratively. And as long as you both adhere to that, which will be easy to do because, again, it's communicated clearly and it's agreed to clearly. That will help. Because, yeah, they're very much swayed by their emotions. There may also be some depression I'm seeing. I mean, to be honest. And that's not out of the question. If you're fostering someone, like on some level, there's going to be some depression because there's trauma. And there's definitely mental stress for you on all aspects. But for them, it's mental, emotional, belief stuff, right? For you, it is more so mental. It's more so mental. So, does that resonate? Does that make sense? Yeah, y'all have to set ground rules for what respect means for one another. Beyond the physical requirements, because that's what you have to do regardless. But yeah, is that making sense? I knew when I was getting the cards, I was like, this is, I meant to be like, do you want the full, you know, see that's gonna come out? Because I had a feeling, but so this helps me have a smarter approach for my sanity and well-being. Yeah. Tough road ahead, of course. I created a living agreement. This was so supportive. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes. Okay. Okay, so you created a living agreement. Is that living agreement the rules of the house, or was that living agreement also co-created with them? Because that's the piece here. There might have to be some amendments to the house constitution with this double king energy and these two dragons not seeing eye to eye, even though they are inextricably intertwined. So yeah, keep that in mind. Imposition from either one of you is not going to work, because both of you are way too strong-willed, even if the way that power is being used, depending on the person, is, whatever. She had to agree, and I have given multiple opportunities to contribute to it. Yeah, that might actually be where the help is needed, is being able to determine, like literally walking. What might be helpful actually is using this, because, and the reason I say this is specifically is because the King of Wands is in the emotional space, but it is their energy towards you. So there is desire towards you to connect. And you do sit with, again, this rules energy, but it is still a collaborative energy here. So you might actually literally have to find a way to lead her through the process of figuring out what she needs. So rather than things for the two of you, things for her. Things for her in the right now, not for the two of you. Because her concern is not you. She's dealing with her own stuff internally. Like it's not about you. She really is needing help to figure out how to deal with what she's going through. Not in a way to fix it, but just to deal with it. So the more kind of immediate it can be, rather than like future focus, like none of the what do you want to be when you grow up, or like what do you want to happen when you do get adopted by whoever, like more like, is there a flavor of juice that you prefer when I go to the grocery store? Like, I mean, really. Like, do you need to always have time, or want to have time dedicated to beautification every week, doing your nails where you're uninterrupted? Like, whatever. But things that give a sense of agency and some semblance of control, in a more immediate sense, will help. Because it's also not lost on me that this energy, the water, the fire, and the Empress card are all on their side. And this is all free flowing. There's no stability there. Everything in the center is stable. It's the masculine energy. And even predominantly for your side of things, you have a 4 and a 10 stability. this, again, the stability physically is already being provided. Rules are important, structure are important. So I'm not, definitely not saying that that's not there, but the navigation through emotional waters and mental castle, really simplifying things down to what can be my pillars inside that I actually like. And if I'm not sure what that is, slowly helping me to figure that out. And that may be something that holds for a couple of weeks and it needs to change, and that's okay. Because also these are the first couple of years of menses anyway for most folks. So definitely it may only last a couple of weeks and I'll need to shift something else. So the expertise in being able to ride those internal cycles in the midst of the bigger external cycles, that's the wisdom that you can or have the potential to support. But that may also be confronting for you as well too, to do that to do that work within yourself to be able to model that. I want to model spiritual tools that help me now. Yeah. But it may not register because it may feel too dissociative, which is why I'm like being very mundane in my examples, because when there's a situation like this where the root is not stable, there's temporary stability, but the root is not stable. The jumping to up here is not necessarily going to feel good. It might, you try it, but like I would not hold the expectation, because there can be the potential of using it as a way to disassociate. It's a delicate balance of not drowning, so being able to accept, but also like keeping the head up. Oh, the joys. All right, I hope that helps. Anybody else with questions? Anybody else with questions? That was good though. I hope that helps somebody else though, because you know, whether it is a child or a family member that you are caretaking due to health reasons, it's there. You're welcome. Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Open questions. I'm still blown away by the fact that my computer like completely shut down. I hope that my battery is okay though. Everything seems to be good. Everything seems to be good. Anything else, folks? I see folks popping in and out. So any other questions before I bounce? It can be personal, or it can be related to the ancestors. It can be related to anything else. I reserve the right to respond to it or not, but if there's anything else, let me know. Because there are definitely battles that folks are fighting. So use the time that you have, unless you want to book a session, which is fine. The link for a session is in the description below. But again, the ancestors in general are fine. They're being supported through this lunar cycle of Libra. They are being supported in their liberation and healing work. Okay, I don't see anything else. So that was just one front. The other is work. Oh, do you have another question? I mean, you can ask if you want. That's fine. I want to know if I've learned a lesson to be released from this season of my career. So I'll say this. Unless it's actually a situation where you are literally being forced or prevented from leaving, the ability to be released from it is on you. Now, in general, most folks, when they're talking about job and career stuff, there are conditions to leaving, meaning they will go if certain conditions are met for them. And if those conditions aren't met for them, and it could be a variety of things, then they will not leave. And it has nothing to do with a lesson needing to be learned. These are the conditions for me releasing myself from something that I do not prefer. Again, assuming I'm speaking more broadly because, this may also be touching base for other different things that people may be dealing with. Like if you're trying to leave a marriage and you have someone who is physically like abusive and not trying to get you to leave. But again, in general, when we talk about work, there's usually conditions for being able to leave. If those conditions are removed and you remember that, I just have the choice to leave, because you do just have the choice to leave. That's it. So this question of learning a lesson is what has to be looked at within the context of the power of your choice to go of your own volition, and the conditions that you set for yourself for you giving yourself permission to take action in a particular way. So if there is a lesson to learn, it's just make the decision if you want to leave, to leave. If the question is, when will the conditions be what I prefer before I activate that choice to leave, that's where it gets tricky, because with the conditions as they are now and as they have been, it's not conducive. Not to say that it can't happen, but it's not conducive in general. Is this making sense first? I am still going to get cards, but is this distinction making sense? Okay. So given that, then, is this a matter of reconciling the conditions that you have to release yourself from something, or just getting up the courage to release yourself regardless of conditions? So first option, you need conditions to be met. So if it's regardless, then it's the second one. It's like you'll just go when you want to go. So if it's truly regardless, you will just go. If it's truly regardless, you'll actually just leave. So if there's resistance to that or emotion that pops up around that, then you have to ask, okay, why is that? What is popping up if you just want to leave and move on to something else? Because again, it's not the thing about the word lesson is it makes it seem like this is just a mental exercise. And the things that prevent us from taking action, the fuel is more often than not our emotions and our beliefs, but really our emotions. Maybe I'm not being truthful with myself. I think in general, and this is for everybody, whenever we are like, oh, it doesn't matter which option I choose, that's an indication that we are not actually fully engaging with the process. We're not being authentic with ourselves. Because if we really didn't care, we wouldn't actually be asking the question. It wouldn't be even coming up as an issue. It'd just be whatever. So if it does actually matter, which it seems like it does, and that means that there are conditions that you want to be met before you leave. And you may just have to be real about the fact that you really are not going to leave unless those conditions are met, because they're non-negotiable for you. And that you need to accept that that is the case for you, rather than the periodic annoyance with things to get you wound up and in your head. Because you won't move unless, again, those conditions are met. That may be the case. And that's okay. Like there is no judgment around it. It's just the honesty. And that's not a lesson. It's just what's really there. So is it the case that certain conditions have to be met is a non-negotiable for you, and therefore you will not leave until those conditions are met. Is that the case? Your actions reflect that. So if your actions reflect it, then that means that is what is going on internally. Right? Actions necessarily have to match your will. Your actions don't act independently of your will and your mind. So yeah, there are conditions that need to be met. If they're not met, you will not leave. So the work to do is, one, you stay mindful and aware of changing conditions, because conditions are always changing. But two, doing that work of accepting it. And the acceptance will either bring you peace and you'll just stay again until conditions are met, and then you'll leave, or you'll accept it and get to a place where you come to a crossroads and you may decide that holding on to those conditions are no longer acceptable, and you will just go. But there's no real telling of like what that path is going to be unless you walk the path of acceptance of the importance of certain conditions being met. Because the thing is, like, in a capitalist world, and especially with who you might be identity-wise within that world, and concerns and considerations for well-being, the conditions aren't necessarily like frivolous things. They can actually be hard-won wisdom for what is and is not acceptable for you. And there might not be a willingness to pay a price of exposure to the elements, so to speak. Anyway, I hope that helps. All right, so I believe we are good now. We've been on here for an hour, so I'll go ahead and close it up. This was definitely not a fun experience for me in terms of just dealing with this energy. It's been kind of all over the place. Like, I prefer to have a different kind of structure, but I wanted to make sure I showed up regardless of for myself, regardless of conditions being met, and that I prefer. Make sure I showed up, because I told you I would, and also like there were messages. So hopefully all that has been helpful for you. Thank you to everybody who has joined me today, and God willing, I will see you next week, which will actually be the day after Halloween, and the day before we have daylight savings time here in the US. So an eventful weekend. And I believe actually we're coming up on a quarter moon. Yeah, we're coming up on a quarter moon next week. So that'll be nice. That quarter moon's going to be in Aquarius. Okay. All right, y'all. So have a blessed weekend. I pray for your ancestors, their healing and elevation. And I also pray for you in your peace. Stay in the light. And again, God willing, I will see you next time. All right. Bye.